Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, right now there's this big push by these really blue cities and states where it's like, we're not going to participate in any type of immigration enforcement whatsoever. None of our state resources or local resources can be used in any way, shape, or form. And candidly, under federal law, they do not have to assist. They also can't obstruct. And it got me thinking, what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot? Rather than federal agents running into states to deport illegal aliens, what happens if they were rushing into states to just confiscate guns from lawful and responsible gun-owning Americans? Would those states in that instance actually decide to cooperate? Perhaps. Can states actually throw up barriers to cooperating with ATF, much like we've seen other states do it with ICE? Well, I went and did a little geeking out. So today, let's get you the answers to that. So let's talk about, don't want to cooperate with ICE? Okay. How about the ATF? Okay, America, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a political position and then we're going to apply it to the other side to see, does it balance out? And the political position is these very blue jurisdictions who have in many instances passed laws that forbids any local law enforcement officer at all from engaging in any level of cooperation with immigration customs enforcement or any other deportation efforts. Now, we've gone over the federal law as it relates to that, and it is very clear that states do not have to cooperate in immigration efforts whatsoever. What they can't do, however, and this is where a lot of them are either coming very close or actually just blatantly crossing the line, is they cannot interfere, thwart, obstruct, or hinder federal agents in doing their job. Well, let's reverse roles. Let's say that instead of a bunch of ICE agents going into states to round up illegal aliens, we had a bunch of ATF agents going into a state to round up what were used to be legal firearms and now have been declared unlawful. Could states, in fact, pass laws that said, hey, we're not going to cooperate in any way, shape, or form with ATF for the enforcement of federal gun laws in our state? The answer is yes, they can, and they already have done so. Now, I want you to know that the genesis for these statutes actually goes back to a real Supreme Court case in 1997 that was litigation related to the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, or the Brady Bill. And in that situation, the Brady Bill, federal law, had mandated that all background checks necessary to comply with the Brady Bill would have to be conducted by local law enforcement. They essentially commandeered local law enforcement to help enforce federal legislation. Now, there were a couple of sheriffs that then sued and said, no, you can't commandeer state resources like that. And that led to the case of Prince v. United States. And the issue that was presented before the United States Supreme Court was, using the necessary and proper clause of Article 1 as justification, can Congress temporarily require state law enforcement agencies to regulate handgun purchases by performing those duties called for by the Brady Bill's handgun applicant background checks? And the ruling of the court in a 5-4 narrowly decided decision was no. While Congress may require the federal government to regulate commerce directly, in this case by performing background checks on applicants for handgun ownership, the necessary and proper clause does not empower it to compel state law enforcement agencies to fulfill its federal task for it, even temporarily. The Brady Bill could not require law enforcement agencies to perform the related tasks of disposing of handgun application forms or notifying certain applicants of the reasons for their refusal in writing. The Brady Bill reserved such duties only for those law enforcement agencies who voluntarily accepted them. So with that background, what we have seen now is a recent trend in a lot of states that have actually passed this legislation, most of which occurred during the Biden administration when these states got pretty spooked that, in fact, there would be some type of federal gun confiscation. The states that have already joined this elite fraternity include Arkansas, Arizona in 2021, Alabama in 2022, Alaska in 2010, Idaho in 2014, Kansas in 2013, Kentucky in 2023, Missouri in 2021, Montana in 2021, New Hampshire in 2022, North Dakota in 2021, Oklahoma in 2021, and also in 2021, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia, Wyoming, and Utah. Now, I get that many of you may think that this is just kind of reverse virtue signaling, but au contraire, let me explain something. If ever we were to have some type of federal confiscation efforts, if ever we were to have large swaths of firearms that would be banned overnight and thus require us to surrender them, the only way that those laws could even come remotely close to being carried out would require cooperation of local law enforcement. There are not enough federal agents, and candidly, the government would never be able to hire enough federal agents to complete all of those tasks on a nationwide level. It could only be done, and only to a certain degree, with complete assistance of local law enforcement. And so these laws will serve as a very powerful barrier to the implementation of otherwise unconstitutional gun regulation in those states that actually cherish the inalienable rights of their citizens. Okay, the case to check out again is Prince versus the United States if you really want to geek out on it. Listen, we'll go ahead and link that up down below so you can check it out for yourself. Now listen, if you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, that information is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.